All right, so good day, good evening, whatever time of the day that you guys are catching this podcast. Welcome to BlackMenCryToo. All right, so I'm here. I am Canard, and I'm here with my lovely guest.
I'm the K Vega.
All right, so we're here to have a healthy conversation about what you may see in the background over here, but especially about mental health. So we're going to take this time for all of us to kind of take a moment and just share a little bit about themselves. And I'll start with myself. I am a mental health clinician. So I work doing therapy for folks, individuals, families, groups, also providing life coaching. I'm a social worker and a father as well. So, Kay, if you could just take a moment and introduce yourself.
I'm K Vega, an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
What else am I supposed to say?
Well, entrepreneur is a heavy statement.
I do a lot.
Entrepreneur is a heavy statement. Just for you saying I do a lot, do you want to share a little bit of that a lot?
So I actually recently realized that I haven't had a job in like 5-6 years, or at least not a real one. But I would say I work in sales.
That's a job. Right? And it's real. Because is that money real?
Listen.
That money is real.
Selling weed, selling edibles, selling ass. Technically, there's levels to that, though.
Okay.
There's levels to that.
I think that could have caught some attention right there.
A little bit.
Because it caught mine, right? So selling weed, elbows, and ass?
Edibles.
Edibles. Okay, I'm just making sure I heard it right. Right? So edibles. Mm-hmm. All right. So talk to us about that. Break that down, those three pillars.
So I started dancing in 2015, 2016, because I was modeling when I graduated from college. And I just felt like if I'm taking in pictures of me half naked to be cool or popular on the internet, I can do it for money to pay my bills. So I started dancing in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was commuting from Columbus, Ohio to Charlotte, like driving down on Thursday, working Thursday, Friday, Saturday, coming back Sunday, going. It was a lot. Like I said, it was a lot. Mm-hmm. Fast forward, I tore my ACL.
Dancing?
I tore my ACL twerking at a party, just like a regular, non-work related, just doing the most being crazy and super drunk ass party. So shout out to Burgers and Bottles.
Wow.
So, yeah, that happened. That happened
sounds
there.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You were twerking heavy.
Listen, I was wearing those, like, you know, those designer sock boot sneakers that don't really have any support on the side. My foot, like, slipped off, and, like, on my way down, I heard crack, crack, and I'm like, it's not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to do that. But it actually is what led me to launch my edibles business, and that is what took me through the pandemic. Oh. So off of running my edibles business, I paid off my car, moved into a new apartment, got a new car, completely furnished that apartment, all that good stuff.
So that ACL tear took you to another level?
It forced my hand, right? Because I had already had a plan of starting a boutique edibles business. With the branding, the names of the treats, the kind of treats I was going to make, I already had it all planned. But I was on federal supervision. So I didn't want to get...
This is turning into a Tyler Perry right now.
I mean, there's just so, like, every backstory leads to another backstory. So I was on federal supervision.
Okay.
And, right, shout out to that being over. And I had the edibles business idea, but obviously I didn't want to chance testing positive just from working with the materials. So I was like towards the end of the 3 years, And I tore my ACL and had maybe like a couple months left. Like literally, like I tore my ACL in June. I was off probation in October of 2019, and I started the edibles business in June instead of October because I couldn't work.
I got a question. So, under the supervision, did they count you dancing as an occupation, or were they trying to force you to do something else?
So at first, they forced me to do something else until I stopped making restitution payments. And then they were like, oh, well, you need some kind of money. I guess dancing counts. The only thing that did was it increased the frequency of my drug tests, which is fine because they were testing for drugs that are not like everyday recreational for me. You know, special occasions, I'm not going to judge, but that's just not my modus operandi. So that really wasn't an issue. But yeah, that probation period was the last time I had a real job.
Well, we're going to call that a real job. Maybe it's not what a job some people would prefer, but that's a real job.
It's not a 9 to 5.
Right? It's not a 9 to 5. It's not a W-2 job. What would be the title of that job? Stripper, exotic dancer, what is the title? And if so, what is the difference of that?
So as far as I'm concerned, I don't really care.
Okay.
Personally, I don't really care. I've danced bikini, I've danced topless, I've danced full nude. Like, so whether you want to make the difference between, oh, I take my top off, or I don't take anything off, or oh, I'm, you know, more athletic. I don't really give a flying fuck. It's all sex work to me, which is why I called it selling ass. Like, is it prostitution? No. That's why I said there's levels. But sex work is sex work. So lingerie photos, selling feet pics, being a dominatrix, that you're making money from selling sex in any form, you are a sex worker. That's just...
As you say that, right, and you categorize different, I guess, positions, departments in sex work. What are some myths that are out there around sex workers?
Well, why don't you tell me some stereotypes of sex workers, and I can tell you if they're true or not, because say it to my face. And no one ever does.
So I find myself being more informed about certain stuff. So as you say, sex workers, it could be someone who has like exotic masseuse, someone who does exotic dancing, someone who's prostituting. I could see those different realms.
Yeah.
But some people may look at it with a tunnel vision and just look at it as, this person is just literally selling ass as a prostitute. So I guess that's the myth within itself.
I mean, I think the myth is automatically that you're having sex for money, right? But what I would say is, who isn't? Like, if we're being honest, who isn't? Because if you have a 30-day rule, a 90-day rule, or, oh, he has to take me on a date first, or damn, why can't you, what is the difference?
He took me to McDonald's and not the steakhouse.
Does that mean a hand job instead of the whole package? Like, I don't understand. I think when it is prostitution, when it is openly transactional. So, just because it's not openly transactional doesn't mean that you're not having sex because of whatever it is that this person's providing. Whether it's emotional support, mental support, financial support, strategy, everybody has their reasons. So you should mind yours.
Mind yours.
That's what I like to do. I like to mind mine.
And I guess as we talk about it and we peel back, and how it's obvious to say in some social environments, we can't speak like that in that area, right? So when it comes to like even parents raising their young daughters, oftentimes we hear the phrase, my job is to keep my daughter off the pole. How do you feel about that whole phrase?
My daddy left when I was 3, so if that was your job, you weren't here to do it. So maybe it's right. I don't know. Like, but at the same time, my stepdad entered my life when I was 3. I went to an all-girls Catholic school. I was a recruited Division I varsity athlete. Like, I think people will look at sex work and think, oh, that's just a horribly tortured and damaged person. Oh, her life must have sucked from the beginning. But you don't know. Like, you don't know what that final decision was. You don't know what it was that took it there. Like I said, for me, I was already modeling. I was in music videos. I was twerking for rappers. I was one of the, like, OG Instagram honeys. Like, that is when I first, like, really started, like, hitting the wave. So we're talking, like, Instagram 2011, 2010. Right? IG honey. Like, ending up on, like, Double XL magazine, Black Sports Online, like, different blog era sites, that type of shit. But like I said, dancing is what I did to make legal money when I left working a 9-to-5, right? When I was pursuing acting and modeling. When I had financial issues and was already dancing and had another decision, I chose being a criminal over being a prostitute. And that was just my personal decision-making process. So like I said, like, there's levels to these decisions, and different people have different hard limits. And
is that case closed?
It is closed. I am off supervision.
Do you want to unpack that? You want a testimony on what took place? What people?
What took place? I was broke as shit. Was already dancing. It was Miami. It was a slow season. And it was scam or sell pussy. Very, very simple. Like, I didn't feel like I had a support system. I didn't feel like I could talk to my family. I didn't have anybody that I could just ask for help. So those were the two decisions. And I chose to scam. Now, it's very unfortunate that I just so happened to match the physical description of a murder suspect in the city and state where we went to go run these scams. So we got pulled over, and yeah, we were just I
feel like Kevin Hart.
Damn.
I'm giving you the extremely Cliff Notes version.
Please, I don't want you to incriminate yourself or open it back up.
We got pulled over. The police officer asked me to step out, and when he did, cops surrounded the car and asked everyone to step out. And when they did that, my co-defendant in the passenger seat ran. Now, had he had sneakers on instead of flip-flops, he might have been okay, because he was a former Div 1 varsity recruited whatever that ended up in JUCO, etc. type story. But he was not. And because they thought that I was a murder suspect, they had dogs, and the dogs ran him down and caught him. And then he spilled. He talked. Like, everything. And not even knowing that we weren't the people that they were looking for, but he just started talking immediately. And our case went straight federal, got picked up by the U.S. Marshal. And I was charged with 4 felonies, 3 years of probation, each served concurrently, right? That's when they're all served at the same time? No, congruent. All 3 of them sentences were served in the same 3 years, so instead of having to do 12 in a row, I was able to just do 3 and get off. But, yeah, it was...
When's the book coming out? Because this needs to be documented.
So I've actually started writing it, but have a lot of childhood trauma that, like, before we even get to there, right? Because the whole point of the book is, like, again, private school, best private school in the state of New Jersey, all-girl school, varsity athlete, takes care of her little siblings. How the fuck did she end up a stripper with 4 felonies?
That's a myth buster right there, right? We think that the person doesn't have those entitlements to go there. And you had it. So what the hell happened?
And honestly, it comes down to your support system, right? Because I had the things. I had all the things. But I didn't have not one brown person in my household. My mom's Puerto Rican. My stepdad's white. And when we had conversations about not seeing color, I actually believed that bullshit. And was raised to believe that when you do the right things and you do right by people, you'll get what you deserve, right? So I went to college, graduated, like kept my nose clean, was a Division I athlete, super involved, all this stuff that I was just like, yeah, did what I had to do, right? And then got in the real world and was like, what the fuck is this? Like, no one prepared me for this shit at all. Like, at all. What the fuck is this? And with hindsight being 2020, and now being the same age that my parents were when I was asking them these questions, they did not know what the fuck they were doing. And I think that's like what a lot of my healing process and a lot of the work that I've been doing is really centered around the fact that my parents were 33, or my mom was 33, right? She had me at 25, so there's a pretty significant age difference, but close enough that if I had to solve these problems for a teenager, would I know what the fuck I was doing? And
where are they at in your life now?
Repairing the space. I don't really know. Again, it's one of those things that like all of the material things were there, right? But you would never know that my mom was the oldest of 7. You would never know that she was physically abused or molested or that she was starving at times. You would never know that, you know, she got married at 18 just to escape the abuse in her household. So it's one of those things where it's like, when you look at the apple and you look at the tree and you look at where you at, you're like, damn, I'm way better than where I could have been. But that still doesn't mean that I broke even at 0.
I'm going to take it to because you know I'm a therapist, I'm going to take it to a therapeutic question. What would you tell the younger version of you when you're starting to see or making that turn away from those entitlements and finding yourself going into a place where it's not preferred? What would you tell that person, that young you?
That's a great question. I would tell her it's a lie. Like, to put it in perspective, my first personal experience with systematic racism, or at least understanding and recognizing it for what it was the death of Mike Brown. That was what, my junior, senior, super senior year of college. I don't even remember what year that happened. But I remember it like it was yesterday. I was on Twitter, and I'm in the Midwest, so seeing it like right after it happens, and I'm scrolling the timeline, and I see this kid's body on the street, and I'm like, yo, why is there a picture of this? Scroll. Like, I don't want to see that. Like, that's nuts. What the fuck happened? Didn't think about it. Came back, and it had blown up, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And people are talking about it more and more and more, and I'm just like, yeah, that's crazy. It was a tragedy, but what are you talking about? And it was like, nah, this is a thing. Like, they do this to, I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? Police be shooting unarmed black people regular. What does that even mean? What does that mean? And then I took the time to like see the other stories and do the research and look, and I was like, holy shit, how many times have I been scared shitless around police officers thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get grounded. My mom's going to spank me. When really the conversations I should have been having with my parents were, yo.
These streets will eat you alive.
These are the ways that you're going to get targeted.
Did you think about that when you got pulled over during that situation with the scamming where they thought you was
When I got pulled over with that situation, honestly, I thought I was going to be Gucci. My driver's license was good. I was in a rental. I didn't have no shit on me. I thought. Like, I honestly felt like I'm going to be able to talk my way out of this. Like, this is fine. Actually, probably would have been able to had he not ran. But as soon as he ran, they put everybody in cuffs and popped the trunk. Saw a whole bunch of shit that I didn't know was in there that I didn't plan for, them to know and or see. But otherwise, they probably would have taken me in because, again, I matched the physical description, would have found that it wasn't me and then released us. So the fact that all of that did happen was just kind of I need to leave the legal shit alone. It's obviously not for me. This is what happens when I'm good.
You being incarcerated and just us talking about the systemic issues, there's also the complex trauma that's really like for black people, right? And I've worked in a jail. I'm sure you were in a prison since it was the feds. How were you taking care of your mental health while being there, if you were able to?
So I was very lucky. I got arrested on a Thursday, was in holding for the rest of the night. On Friday, was able to see the first judge, was indicted, sentenced, whatever, on like Monday, released by Tuesday morning. So the majority of my pre-trial, I was on a GPS ankle monitor. Holding my mental health together, even just being stuck in the house was... I had court-ordered therapy twice a week. That is honestly the best thing that came out of the entire situation. Because for my entire life, I'd been taught, I need to go see a therapist. I need to talk to someone about this. This shit is crazy. No one understands me. And when I started speaking to that therapist and telling her my traumas, my past, the things that I've been through, the things that had brought me up until that point, it was someone else putting my life into perspective and confirming, yeah, you're not crazy. This shit is not normal. Like, you were the only child for 13 years, right? I was the only child for 13 years. My mom got pregnant, had twins. Got pregnant again 3 months after she had the twins while she was breastfeeding. 2 weeks after finding out that she was pregnant with my little brother, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So as a 13-year-old, oldest sister of 2 newborn twins, I held my mom's hand while my dad shaved her head and her belly was out to here because she was going through chemo while she was pregnant. It's kind of like, how do you know what I mean? Like, how do you not be a perfect kid after that? Like, how do you not wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning to get dressed and eat breakfast, to get your siblings ready for school, to feed them, to get them ready, to put them in the car, to drop them off at school, to go to school yourself, to go to practice, to pick them up after school, to make dinner, to give them a bath, to have them in their pajamas so by the time your parents get home at 7:30, you can actually spend time together as a family.
So at 13, you were already a caretaker?
14, 15.
14, 15.
Especially 16 when I started driving.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We call that parentified, right? You got parentified at such a young age, so you kind of skipped over that teen years,
Yes.
that identity finding years.
Yes.
You were already a caretaker for your siblings. And
I didn't know any black people, which was just very unfortunate. Literally just didn't, until high school, just did not know any black people.
Did you even look at yourself as black at that time?
I did.
Okay.
But it was always black or black was a race, not a community to me. at that time because I didn't have a community within it. So even in just...
Black was a race, not a community.
Yeah.
Damn.
I know, it sucks, right? I didn't know none of the inside jokes. Didn't see none of the movies.
Sheesh.
I had never heard the phrase, birds of a feather flock together. Never heard that until college.
Damn.
I thought you were supposed to treat everyone with kindness, even the hoes. Now I'm a hoe? That's crazy! What happened to the golden rule? I thought that trumped everything. Apparently not.
How was your relationship with black men in that early phase of your life when you were introduced to them in college?
I've always loved black men. Always. Always, always, always. I just didn't know any. Not until high school. But then what shocked like everybody was like, oh shit, her first boyfriend's black. Like, how did she find one? Found one. No, but no, it was never, if anything, I am just no longer really attracted to people outside of my race, whereas I was more open to it before. Yeah.
We talking about dancing, and oftentimes in those environments, it's not known to be a safe space for women. How has your experience been in those spaces?
It absolutely is not safe at all. I do not drink at work. The only time I have alcohol is in like very specific situations, in very specific rooms, areas, cities, around very specific places, because it's not worth the risk. Just flat out, it's not, at least for me, it's not worth the risk. And I feel like if you have to be drunk to be here, you probably shouldn't be here.
So you mentioned that you're no longer looking into dating outside of your race. How is dating for you being in your industry that you're in?
I'm honestly, I don't really know how to answer that question because I cannot remember a time that I wasn't exactly this way. Like, I can't remember a time that I wasn't flirtatious, that I wasn't getting flirted with, that I wasn't being pursued. And I don't mean that in like a cocky, like, oh, I'm the shit type of way, but like, I don't really remember a time that the attention that I got from other people wasn't an issue in dating.
Because I remember listening to a documentary, and it was dealing with an exotic dancer, and she was dating, and her problem was, or issue she was facing was, she would want to kind of go out to the strip club with her partner, but that partner didn't feel comfortable there, whereas she felt comfortable there because that's what she knew, right? So do you find yourself feeling any awkwardness dating, like, or the guy, like, how do you even find the eligible bachelor?
I'm very versatile. I don't remember the last time I dated someone I actually met at work. I do remember the last time I did someone at work. He ended up being a pimp. So that did not last very long. Other than that, I usually just don't meet people.
Was that his motive, to try to beat?
That's what I asked. He claimed no, that pimps needed love too, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't trust him after that.
Pimps are nurturers too.
Listen! Player in a management position. Allegedly.
P-I-M-P, I hear that.
Allegedly. But no, usually when I'm dating, I'm finding people outside in the real world. And I think I like to think that I'm versatile enough that despite the fact that career and job and finances are a large part of, a large part of what makes you who you are, I still don't feel like that's a really big part of who I am. Like, I think most people that I interact with regularly are like, oh, that's Kay, and she strips. Not, oh, I know a dancer, her name is Kay. You know what I mean?
Do you feel that you could deal with somebody who's more conservative, or they have to be more open? Like, is there a spectrum that you say, all right, I stay closer to this spectrum when it comes to dating?
Well, oddly enough, when it comes to my love life, I'm actually very traditional. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to homeschool my kids. I want to be a stay-at-home mom with my kids. I just want to be a stay-at-home mom with my kids in, like, the Buick, the Suburban, the Cadillac. You know what I mean? The, like, oh, yeah, we can do gymnastics because mom has one of these at home. You know what I mean? Like, like, oh, I've seen this before. You know? But that actually speaks to something that you said earlier. Whereas, like, people having the freedom to do certain things, right? And this is a conversation I've had with someone that I've dated who's on the more conservative side, where he talks about, like, my freedom and ability to be and say whatever I want. It is a hard-earned one. It is one that I've actively cultivated and put the time and the energy of not giving a fuck and letting people expect to hear whatever come out of my mouth. That gives me the ability to let whatever come out of my mouth. Like, you have to create that space for yourself, and it is not easy.
Bringing it back to the myths and dating, oftentimes it's brought up that at times you may be exposed to more attention from the same sex. Has your orientation been challenged while being a stripper?
Like I said, I don't really remember a time that I wasn't being pursued by one gender or another, by appropriate ages or not. So it's an interesting question for me because I identify as pansexual regardless. So it wouldn't really be a challenge for me personally. Cause,
let the viewers know what that pan effect is.
Pansexual, I don't care what your gender is or how you identify. If I like you, I like you. And it's really that simple. It's that simple. But as far as LGBTQIA safe spaces in the club, the strip club isn't a real place for a lot of people, right? So, again, I think it's about setting boundaries.
What do you mean by that? It's not a real place for a lot of people.
The same way that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Like, it's where people get that freedom without the side effects or the consequences of the hard work that it takes to have that freedom in the light of day.
Would you say it's a place to unwind?
It can be. It can be. Again, like any other space, the strip club is what you make it and what you come there for, right? Like, there are people that come there to show off. There are people that are there to boost their ego. There are people that are there to get laid. There are people that are there to just unwind, enjoy the space. There are people that are there to be entertained by the acrobatics. You have to be honest about what your goal is, though, if you're going to achieve it.
When it comes to the patrons, the people who are coming as you're talking about, what is your preferred customer?
Two types. My preferred customer is either the person that doesn't really care about you dancing, right? But will let you dance to feel comfortable and still pay you for your time. And then there's the people who just throw the money indiscriminately, right? Throwing money indiscriminately is not an issue unless there's not enough money. If you're throwing money indiscriminately and you're throwing $100 on 10 bitches indiscriminately, yo, get me the fuck out of this. I'm not. You can have that, because y'all can fight over them singles. I'm good. Now, if you throw in like 2 bands on 10 bitches indiscriminately, I can get a nice little pile. You know, step on some fingers if somebody tries it. But other than that, it's not it's not the same type of rat race that it can be otherwise.
No drizzles. It gotta be Hurricane somebody.
Son, miss me with the bullshit. Fuck, I look like arguing over $1. like literally, like I was fighting about like over $1.
Does it get that bad in there? Who has to step in those kind of situations? If anybody.
Look at you thinking this is a civil place.
I see order.
Look at you.
There. So it gets down.
There are strip club bullies. Every strip club has them. They're the house girls, the girls who, whether artificially or naturally, are bomb. They're the girls that have been there, working there since they were like 12 years old. They're the girls that, everybody knows from around the way because we went to school with each other and grew up 20 years ago, and oh shit, she did blah, 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 that was such and such, and this and that and the other, and look at how grown up she. Every single club has those girls. Every single one of them.
Which one are you?
Oh, I'm low-key.
Okay.
I'm low-key. I like to work smarter, not harder, when it comes to the strip club. I don't fight for ones. I'd rather sit here and have a conversation like this and turn you into an edibles client or a massage client or an OnlyFans subscriber and get the long money. That's and maybe the $20.
Spirit right there.
Like, and maybe $20 now and have you hooked for the long run.
You make them a member. Look, you got a membership. You get the massage, the edible, and the dance. I hear that. So, with that being said, how long do you see yourself in that industry?
Oh, it's coming to an end. Rapidly approaching an end. I will completely leave the entertainment space when I don't use my emergency fund anymore. Everyone's supposed to have an emergency fund, but I actively use mine and then have to replenish it. So when I'm no longer in a position that I'm actively replenishing my emergency fund, then I'll be leaving dancing alone and alone for good. So.
Do you have a set number?
Before I'm a mother. Before I'm a mother. I don't know when that.
Does that change things?
I think that's speculative. For me, it does. And the reason why it does is because I don't see myself being a mother before I'm a wife, and I don't see myself in the strip club and married to somebody. I don't really see myself in the strip club and in a serious relationship with someone. So like there's some steps that are really going to be pushing it back, but I do know plenty of guys that are supportive, that are like, yo, get the bread while you can. Do it while you have the body. Like, yo, you can still pull the tricks. It's mad athletic. Go for it, sure. And obviously, sometimes the money does make sense. But again, just like in the long run, I don't. Sex work is taxing. It's emotionally draining.
No pun intended. Taxing.
Facts.
There was no tax money.
Facts. Facts. But it can definitely get draining. I don't like people touching me. That is very problematic in the strip club. Like, I have to be in a mental space where I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable, or I'm okay with people being in my personal space. Otherwise, you can't be in the strip club with attitude. Like, you're not gonna have a good time. You're not gonna make any money. You're not gonna set off any good experiences, have any repeat clientele, none of that. Like, no. I don't suggest it.
It sounds like you got a game plan, and you're on the cuff of it. It's just timing at this point. And as you said, it looks like it's coming to an end. Our conversation is coming to an end. I appreciate all the transparency from childhood to now on what you're going to. And we're looking for that book. We're looking for that book. Work on that. Put it together. Hopefully you don't got to tear another ACL to get another stream of income. I see how you do it. Is there something that you would like to share to anyone that you feel that may be in a similar position as you, that may need that mentorship-like statement or quote that could carry them through it?
I am the K Vega on Instagram and Twitter. Hit me up. Really, because it's just there's not a blanket quote, statement, access. There's not a blanket situation. Like I said, everybody has different reasons that they are doing whatever it is that they're doing.
I think that's value.
Hit me up. That's all I can say.
Some people, they don't got anybody to talk to. And you just named all those different types of people in the club. I don't hear anybody who's going to be like that big sis to help you through it, right? So you're providing that big sis, and you obviously have been through a lot, and you know how to cope.
Yes.
So we appreciate you. This was a dope conversation. Good luck in getting to those goals that you mentioned. I could see it happening in the near future.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So remember, Black Men Cry Too, and we'll see you later.